Hey YouTube, I just have a rare moment here. My family is not needing me this exact second. I just wanted to give kind of an update with my esophagus, but also kind of tell the longer story of what happened because I realized I never really did that. So I'm just going to jump right in. So basically, I had COVID last spring, and while my taste and my smell were coming back, I started having what I recognize now as some subtle changes with my swallowing. All of a sudden, this fear of choking and a lot of anxiety when I was eating, drinking a lot of extra fluids while I was eating, over chewing it, I would say. And this continued for a while. One other main symptom that I had was I was struggling with keeping up a conversation and eating at the dinner table with my kids to the point where I stopped eating dinner with my kids. And I would ask them, if you see me chewing and swallowing something, just to give me a second before you ask me something. I mean, there's three of them and one of me. It made total sense to me that I was just getting overwhelmed. But when I look back now, I can kind of see like the subtle signs that something was changing. And then I woke up one morning in August and I ate my breakfast as normal, my lunch as normal, and I went to have a bite of my dinner and it got stuck somewhere in my esophagus. And it was a sensation I'd never felt before. I was still able to breathe, so I wasn't choking necessarily. It was just, I could just feel it not going down, and it was a really overwhelming and scary sensation. I ended up going to the emergency room a couple nights later when I got a bit of cake stuck in my esophagus. It basically, long story long, ended up with 8 ER visits. All of the doctors that I saw felt I needed an urgent scope and an urgent barium swallow study done. And so I did have the scope done. And I just remember those early days, like sitting around every day, just losing weight, not being able to eat, feeling like I had like food constantly in my esophagus. The other thing I was having was symptoms of what I believe was regurgitation, where I would feel if I was able to swallow something, it would come back up later, and it wasn't refluxy. It didn't feel acidic in any way. It just felt like if I leaned forward at all, whatever was in here would move back up. It was just really awful. So eventually I had the scope done. They did biopsies. They determined everything was normal there. I had a GI doctor who was he didn't feel that I needed this swallow study done, but everyone else felt that I needed it done. So I went through a period after that of waiting for them to call me basically to come in and do that. They called me 2 days before my wedding. I ended up having the test the day before my wedding. And just a little shout out to the ladies that were working there. They were really just kind and supportive, and they told me, but they didn't know a lot about conditions you could have. They just knew what to look for and to tell you if there was an issue or not. They just said, yeah, you're having dysmotility in the kind of end of your esophagus. It's getting stuck in the aortic arch. Follow up with your doctor, basically. The next day I got married and it was beautiful and wonderful. We ran off on our honeymoon. I made the decision that I was just going to stick with my Boost liquid diet because we didn't know why I had the dysmotility. And now I had proof that food was actually getting stuck in there. It wasn't just in my head. So after that, came back from my honeymoon. I had a monster 4-day panic attack that was just rolling and rolling and rolling. Couldn't get out of it because I was convinced I was dying, and somehow got it convinced that it was in my breathing and that I was having issues breathing. It was terrible. I felt just so scared. Came back and I got a hold of my GI doctor finally, and he told me, oh, you don't need, again, you don't need to do any further testing. Call me back in a year if this is still a problem. And I said, no, I know I would like to be sent for a manometry. I know that's the next level of testing that they do when there's dysmotility involved. And I don't know what he did, but I got off the phone. He called me back minutes later to tell me that when he had sent out the referral for the barium swallow, which he never did, if you remember, he was the only one that didn't think I needed one. He said that he had also sent out a referral for a manometry, which is total fucking bullshit. But I ended up getting a phone call the next day with an appointment time for the following week. So I went and I did the manometry, and I was diagnosed with IEM, which is ineffective esophageal motility. I think it was 65% of my swallows don't work properly. So basically, they only tested me for liquids. That's how bad it was with liquid. I have no idea what it would say on the test with solids. So I tried to go through Christmas with this new diagnosis and continuing with the Boost diet and the green juice and the chicken broth, all I've been able to have. Still having a lot of issues, just constant discomfort, constant stuff in my esophagus. I made an appointment with my doctor after Christmas saying, like, I think I need to see a specialist for this to help manage this condition. He was like, no, you don't. Just keep trying to eat. So I ended up finding a motility specialist on my own, called them, and she told me everything I needed to do to be seen. And so I just went and saw this new doctor. He feels that my diagnosis might not be 100% the full picture of what is going on. So he's actually redoing all of the tests himself and sending me to another motility specialist. They're going to basically do a repeat swallow study and a repeat scope and have all the information together and decide if they're going to do another manometry. They're basically reevaluating everything. There's a condition called achalasia, and I can't remember if it's EGJOO, EGJOO. If you know esophagus stuff, like there's so much, dude. There's so much that I just had no idea about. Anyway, there's these two conditions he wants to like fully rule out, and to, the possibility of treatment or surgery options, or just however we're going to manage this going forward. I just want to feel better. Recently, I had a iron infusion done, which I feel like the muscles on my esophagus are stronger. The peristalsis is stronger since having that. It's been about a month. There's definitely more effort happening, and I can hear it. I still can't have solids though. I mentioned the COVID part of this because it's the timeline, it's what happened. I have no idea if it is something weird that happened with that. Maybe it'll come back. I don't know. I hope and pray that it does. But for right now, it's really, really hard. If you follow my channel, you already know I have the CSA and I have the heart arrhythmia, and now I have these three conditions that all feed into each other and make it very hard just to do the normal things I have to do every day. I try to be positive. I have gratitude for the fact that, I'm not on my back, at this point in bed. I'm able to feed myself, all that stuff. Full heart, full of gratitude, but it is hard, and it's okay to say that it's hard. And anyway, that's where we're at right now. Next month, actually, I think May 13th is when I have my next swallow study. So fingers crossed. Maybe they'll tell me it's improving. Maybe they'll see what's going on clearer. I'm not sure, but I have had a number of tests. I'm not going to get into it in this video. It's just way too much. But yeah, so thank you for watching and keeping up with my story. I've had a few new subscribers in the last little while that have been leaving me really kind messages, and it makes me so sad to hear others are struggling. But at the same time, like, when you are struggling, you want to talk to people who are going through the same thing you're going through. Just like, what everyone needs is love and support, and I really feel it when you guys leave me messages. It helps me so much. So thank you. Bye.